I was talking to a member of our staff earlier today about the guys that you see before you right here, and specifically about their band name. I don't know how, but you found me. And
Wrong.
She didn't. Is that not right? Is that right? I don't know how, but you found me?
I don't know how, but they found
But
me.
they found me because we're talking about Libyans, of course.
Exactly.
Excuse me. So she didn't get the reference, and I was shocked. And I'm embarrassed because I've seen Back to the Future 7 billion
No,
times.
it's okay. It's a challenging
yeah.
band name, but that's by design. You know, we wanted something that would get rid of all of the casually curious.
Of course. It's so funny because I can do the rest of that scene word for word. But
Luckily for us, iDKHow, the shortened version, also works out.
Gotcha.
We got it on a big banner because it is a lot to take in.
How much are you having to explain the band name to people? It's been, it's been a while. People
Not a
know.
lot.
Yeah.
It's not completely uncommon or unheard of to have a
right.
longer band name. There's, people have done it before us.
Uh-huh.
But it's just a phrase that I've always really loved and wanted to use for something like a song title or an album title or something. But when we started this project, it was a secret thing.
Yeah.
For the first 7 or 8 months that we did it, we would just book a show and not tell anyone and go play and see if the songs that we were writing could get people's attention. And that phrase just seemed to fit that whole idea of being a secret band that didn't exist,
Yeah.
And if any fans happened to come across what we were doing, we would, of course, just deny our existence completely. Photographs or whatever, recordings like, you guys played a show, what are you doing? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, that's not us. That could be anybody.
We just wanted to play shows like any other band would do if they were starting out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that phrase really seemed to fit what we were doing, the whole idea of secrecy and denying everything. So I finally got to use that phrase after loving it for 2 decades.
Well, I hate to do the whole band name line of questioning, but
no, it's cool. It's cool.
It has been around for a little while. Are you guys still happy with it? Some bands
yeah.
fall out of love with their band name at some point for any number of reasons.
Well, I understand that too because band names, by their very nature, are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Every time. The Beatles, my favorite band ever, their band name is a pun.
Yep.
That's so dumb. That's so dumb. I think the only band that ever got away with like a good band name is Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
There may be 1 or 2 more in there, but I'd have to think about it. But by and large, band names are just ridiculous, and you just have to sort of embrace that and not care, and that's kind of what makes it cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've never heard the band, you just hear the name, you might think like, what?
Absolutely.
On any band name, not just even
And to
ours.
me, like, if the band name is enough to turn you off, then like we don't want you as a fan or at our show.
That's true.
anyway,
Yeah. It's sometimes hard for people to have that level of commitment as well because there's so many different things a band can change. They can change members. They can change a sound. Changing a name maybe is the last thing to go, one of the hardest things to do. So people have a tough time being saddled with it and married to it for the duration, especially if the band has a semblance
That's why
of
I
success.
think you shouldn't care too much about that thing because it is so ridiculous.
Can we rewind a little bit? And you kind of started to talk about the beginning of the band a little bit, but it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, 10 years ago that you first tweeted that phrase.
Yeah, but at the time it was just a tweet because I had been in love with that phrase for so long.
Okay.
And like I said, it wasn't anything more than just a phrase that I really liked. I wanted to put it as a lyric or a song title or something. So I tweeted it once long ago, and people sort of think that that's where the genesis of this band began, and that's not really the case.
Okay, because that's totally what I thought. I thought that maybe that's where the ideas of this band began. When did you guys first started talking? Because you were friends.
Yeah, we've been friends for like a decade, right?
We were in a band together before this one, way back when.
And paths kind of diverge in this business, and you end up working for this artist and that artist, and that's what happened to us. But anytime we found a spare moment, we'd always come together and work on a song. But this project started around like 2016, I think.
Okay.
Just very casually in our spare time because we were both touring for different bands.
Doing other things, yeah.
So it was a matter of catching each other at the right time, and it was all just for fun.
Yeah.
With no real agenda or goal in mind other than to make some songs that we liked.
Play some music.
Exactly.
I'm sure it's still for fun, absolutely, but at some point it became a little bit more serious. Was there a moment for you where you're just like, yes, this is what I want to pursue. This is what I've decided I want to do.
Well, that moment definitely came. I think it was when we uploaded the lyric video for our song "Choke."
Yeah.
Which was a song that I mostly recorded at my kitchen table. And that lyric video that I was mentioning, I made that on my kitchen table too and just uploaded it to YouTube. This was shortly after we finally decided to admit that, yeah, this is a thing that we're doing. Because as fun as that was to deny everything, like we knew eventually like we'd have to own up to it. So we uploaded that song and that lyric video, and it just sort of took off way more than we were expecting. Like at all, it surprised us. So that was sort of the moment where we both realized, well, maybe we can do this for ourselves. So.
The aesthetic is obviously very 80s. You have been very clear about the fact that that's the time that you grew up in. That's the art that you appreciated very much as a kid, and that's kind of what bled into your art today. What is it specifically about the 80s? Can you get more specific about why maybe that appealed to you?
I think, because we both, obviously grew up in the 80s, and I think it's just, it takes us back to a time period where things were exciting and fun, and you had to go discover things. It's not just like things were thrown in your face. If you actually wanted to hear a band, you'd have to go find out about it.
Yeah.
You'd have to go to your CD store. You'd have to, record store. You'd have to go to like a comic book store even to like find out.
I think that doing footwork like that, when you found something that you liked, you had to go out and chase it. And I think that made it a little more special for you and a little more meaningful
discovery
when you got a hold of those things, because you had to put the effort in. No one was throwing something in your face, selling it to you like is done nowadays. It's all subscribe to this and follow me here and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so we wanted to take the opposite approach and maybe call back to what discovering things was like when we were young.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair assumption that you appreciate something more if you have to actively go search it out yourself, as opposed to if someone's just presenting you things and you're like, nope.
Which was a big part of our approach coming out with this band. Like, it would have been very easy to do like a press release and take advantage of the bands and the fans that we were working for at the time. But doing that also would have just felt really wrong to do. Like we wanted to do it as honestly and credibly as possible, and really that's the biggest challenge for a band like us, coming from two other acts that have had success on their own.
Sure.
Building your own credibility is probably the biggest challenge, because no matter what we do, there's always going to be someone that goes, oh, well, you're only here because you came from that.
Yep.
So we appreciate that that's a reality. So we wanted to, be respectful of those jobs that we had at the time, but also keep them at an arm's distance and not exploit them.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell that there's a real concerted effort for that. There are advantages and disadvantages of playing in bands that have had success before and then starting an entire new project. It seems like there's also got to be a freedom involved with that as well. That's refreshing and exciting. Is that true?
Yeah, because when you're working for other artists, there's ways that they go about doing things and rules that you have to follow to fit into that role that you've been hired to play.
Yeah.
Right.
But for this band, we decided to throw all those rules out the window and just do what we like.
Yeah.
And make stuff that we like.
And
hopefully other people like it too.
That's probably true with any band or in any job.
Sure.
Not just band life. It's like when you get to run your own show and have your own thing, it's more fun, and there's a little bit more pressure, but there's a lot more freedom.
Yeah, it's more work for sure, but if you love what you do, what's that? You never work a day in your life.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm gonna ask a dumb question, and it's already out there. I'm so sorry, but everywhere that I see when I hear you guys talk about the band, it's not BAND, it's BAMD.
Yeah.
Is there something to explain there, or is that just
not really?
thing?
It was just like an intentional typo.
Okay.
I did a series of posts. Because social media is obviously something that you have to be active in
and connect with fans.
I will call it a necessary evil.
So
yeah.
I like to, as I guess the British would say, take the piss out of it a little bit by just blatantly describing like what this post is.
Sure.
Like, please enjoy this content. Or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there's no other point to it other than that. So we would take a picture and just the post would be banned. And eventually, after like the third or fourth time, I just misspelled it on purpose, and people seemed to really enjoy that.
Yeah.
So
and fans made up their own,
acronym for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, like
And that's
best
what I was
alternative
wondering, yeah.
music duo.
It's
Like,
awesome.
So that's the
Which I'm glad they
my
chose
mind.
that as opposed to something like
Right.
terrible.
Yeah.
So that's-
Yeah, knowing the internet, I'm
Flattering,
sure
yeah.
they can get
Right,
very
yeah.
creative with it for sure.
Sure.
So what's the plan? The EP is out now. This year, I saw a handful of tour dates planned, just kind of shows here and there. Is more coming? Is more in the works? Is there anything that you can tell us about your plans for 2019?
Well, more shows is
That's the goal.
number one
Yeah,
thing on the
for sure.
agenda to sort of push the EP that we've just come out with. In the meantime, we're writing and collecting ideas for a full-length record,
Cool.
which we want to make a priority. Unfortunately, that process can take longer than you ever hope for.
Yeah,
But that's
You
definitely
can't rush
something.
creativity, so.
Well, yeah, and also you guys just put out. Give yourself a break. You just put out the EP.
Well, we're excited too because
Yeah.
it feels like since fans started finding out what we were doing, we've sort of been playing catch up with them, which is a great problem to have, but a problem nonetheless. So we're trying to keep up with demand for content and songs and stuff, which
Sure.
is kind of why we came out with an EP initially, as opposed to a record that they would have had to wait a little bit longer for. So.
Well, there's a lot of thought behind this music and a lot of thought behind the whole presentation of the band, whether or not it's the scenario of finding the music back in the 80s or the aesthetic of what the music videos look like or the way that the songs sound. You can tell it's just one cohesive piece of art that works really well together, and the response that people have had I think is indicative of that. There has been genuine excitement for this project, regardless of other projects, this project in particular, and I think it's a cool thing, and we are stoked that you guys came by here.
Well, yeah,
Thank you
thanks for having us.
Absolutely. It is Alt 98.7, fellas. Again, thank you so much for being here. I don't know how, but they found me.
You did it. All right.
I know it. I know the whole run for it, Marty, and all that sort of stuff. Oh, I was going to ask if you were scared to tour in Libya. Are you feeling okay about if that ever
No,
comes
sign
up?
us up. Man.
Okay, you
Let's
sure?
Let's get over there.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
not like weird with the Libyans.
Let's hit all
Not
the
that I know
territory.
of. Not that I know of.
Good. It's all 98.7.